Wow, 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 wow. No, sorry. Remember, the leg amplifier. That's what we've got here. All right, so we're looking at leg strength, leg definition, legs being able to do things. Super good. Oh no, I can hear it now. Oh, that's right. You got it, Bobby? All right. Yeah, just mute that, sucker. All right. So we are getting ready to work out here and, trying a couple new things. So makes it interesting a little bit. All right, jumping jacks. So we're going to work on a predominantly leg workout, but it is a total body workout. All right. But this is going to get you toasty. If you like to feel your legs working, this is going to do it. All right. So just make sure, this workout is not for everyone. There are, risks associated with exercise, and you are exercising through video. And so I can't see you, so you are taking on some of that responsibility. All right. See a little tap backs here. So we'll get things warmed up, and we've got a lovely, lovely workout plan for you. All right. So we've got just a handful of exercises that we're going to do. We're going to do a minute on one, a minute the other, and then a minute rest. We're going to do 3 sets of that, and then we're going to change to a different set, and then change to a different set. All right. And by the end, we should be tired everywhere, but especially our legs. Especially our legs there, all right? So kick back, crisscross. All right, so we've got the dumbbell squat, then a squat hold. Then we've got a push-up and a double row. So the upper body mixed in there, and then back to the legs for the staircase lunge is what I'm gonna call it, all right? All right, that's probably might be the best place to do that exercise is maybe by the staircase. All right, so you got some options for height is where you put that foot, because we're gonna do an elevated step for that lunge. All right, step aside, as I have right next to me here. All right, so usually I try to have some little random thing about me. I think I remembered that, did I? Yeah, I do have something. All right, this is me doing a front flip at the trampoline place the other day, and it scared the poop out of me, all right? But I used to do things like that, but now I'm 45 years old and I don't flip that often. All right, so there I did. I overcame my fear and I did a front flip on the trampoline. All right, I got photographic proof that happened. You don't know if I landed it or not. Haha, you just see that I'm upside down. All right, but I did land it. All right, so check that off as I still have a little bit of courage left in me. I played with my girls. It was a great time. Wonderful fun. All right, so I want to kind of get into this workout pretty quick because I'm not about messing around. You will like to have some dumbbells for this. Can be done with a bar weight, or it could be done with some bands or something like that. But I'm doing it with dumbbells. I like that. I like that version the best for this particular workout. All right, so I got my fresh minute on the clock here. All right, Bobby. You say when.
3, 2, 1, here we go.
All right, so we're gonna grab the weights here. Chest is out, butt is out. We're gonna sink down and stand up. Here's a classic dumbbell squat. It's almost a bit like a deadlift here. All right, so it's very, very deadlift-like in that position. The squats and deadlift are can be very, very similar as you're doing them there. But make sure the chest is out, the butt is out as you're doing this. All right, so you wanna make sure you have really good posture through there, especially when you're holding something in front of you. People tend to slouch and round. Stick those ribs out in front, push the butt back, squeeze the knees out, because posture is still very, very important here, right? Dropping in, coming up. Now you might find that as you're going, you start to loosen up a little bit. All right, drop it in, squeezing up there. Abs are in nice and tight. Now, you can hold with the weights, or you can hold without the weights, all right? So I can leave that right in here, weight free, or I can include the weights in what I'm doing there. So maybe I'll grab a hold for a little while and do some of that. It is a bit harder when you're holding weights while you're in here. All right, so chest is out, butt is out, weights on the heels. Try not to shift forward. Keep that posture intact pretty good. One thing is lined up really nice. Should be a big challenge here. All right, weights on the heels, chest is out. Stick that tailbone out like there's a ski jump coming off your tailbone. All right, shaking, twitching. Nearly there. I just feel like it's gotta be. Ah! Got it. Ooh, stand up when you're done is really fun. All right, so we're gonna take a minute to rest, and then we're gonna do that again. So you're like, oh, really? Yes, really. All right, so they're gonna get pretty tired. They're gonna get pretty tired. But that is kind of what we advertised, right? That is as advertised. Tiredness. Tiredness will be included in the workout. But it's gonna work those legs really, really well. All right, it takes a lot of work to really get a measurable change and benefit in some of these muscles. And so we're gonna do that work. We're gonna achieve that benefit there. All right, so we got about 12 seconds. Okay, so my breath a little bit more. We'll go back to the weighted dumbbell squat. All right, now if the weight's too much for you, just do the squat. All right, here we go. Just do squat up and down, then squat hold. All right, dropping in, squeezing up. Now I kind of like the dumbbell squat in a way, because at the top here, I'm more likely to tighten my glutes because the weights are kind of out in front of me still a little bit. All right, so there's a little bit extra squeeze at the top of that range of motion. A little bit different than when I have a bar on my back. All right, which you could do on this workout if you need to. Drop in, squeeze up. Try to really set up posture awesomely because it works in the right places then. All right, if my butt's back, my knees are out, I get my groin, I get my hamstrings, I get my glutes, I get my quads. The whole area around the leg is working. All right, all right, hold. Oh boy, this is where it's gonna get tough here. Now my lower back right now is actually feeling pretty warm. I know it's in the right position though, so I'm not worried about it. If you do get worried about it, let go of the weights or stand up for a little while, okay? Oh, like at some point here, I'm going to. All right, right about there. Now the reason why I stopped holding the weights is because I was starting to get really, really tired and I knew I was gonna start to bend my back. And that is like an unforgivable, all right? So I let up on that. Now I'll just get that squat hold, finish out my time, 10 seconds. Push that butt back. Oh, delightful, delightful. All right, so my legs are gonna feel it, they're gonna feel it. Hopefully your legs are gonna feel it too. All right. Now this may seem like, wow, this is a lot of work. You know, why can't I just not do this work? You totally cannot do this work. You don't ever have to work out in your life. But when you do work like this, you have a chance to have amazing legs like these. I'm just kidding. But I'm gonna put my shorts back down there. All right, but no, but like you can't get the benefit without doing some of that work. All right, the only place results come before work is the dictionary. You've got to do some of that work. All right, and the more we can work, the more we can challenge, the stronger we get and the younger we feel. So at 45 years old, you too can do front flips on the trampolines. Although many of our clients are a lot older than me, so it doesn't matter. All right, coming down, let's go for it. One last set on this one here, ready? So they're tired, we're still gonna go for it. Monitor how your back is doing. Make sure the back is staying straight. If at any time it stops staying straight, stop doing squats. All right? Dropping in, squeezing up. Think about pushing your heels into the ground as you're coming up. The heel bone's connected to the butt bone. As you drive those heels down, you'll feel your butt kind of shakily try to pick you up. All right? Oh boy. Doing good, doing good. 10 seconds. All right, the hold. You want to try to get some pretty good depth here. All right. But if you're really struggling, you can hold higher. Okay? You could hold up a little bit. Chest is out. Butt is out. Challenge. Stick your butt out like you're trying to tear your pants. Push it out behind you. I'm trying to make it 20 seconds. Chest is out, butt is out. Butt's back, keep the butt back. My knees are starting to shift forward. Oh, lightheaded. Oh boy. Spinny room time. Now we got a minute rest, and then we're hitting the next set. Just got a push-up. You got the push-up with a shift? Yeah, this is a fun one. It's a fun one. Add a little variety to the push-up because honestly, push-ups is one of the easiest ways to do a pressing exercise without it being quite as dangerous and needing quite as much equipment. As soon as you get to a bench press, you have to worry about the bar landing on you. Whereas when you're doing push-up, you just fall on your face. And from not very far, so it's not that bad. All right? And then we're going to do a double row where we're tipped over and we're doing this row position, which is going to be pretty exhausting back through that core as well. All right, so we move these out of the way, push up with a shift. All right, so you can do from your knees, you do a push up, you walk the hands over and do a push up. Walk the hands back and push. You can also do it from the toes. Get nice and low. Push the chest out in front of the hands. So you get an extra little bit of time to balance on those hands as you shift back and forth. Should increase some of the core benefits of this exercise as well. Make sure the head's not diving to the ground first. Keep that head pulled back and chin tucked in. I want to imagine like somebody duct taped a 2x4 behind you. All right, so let's grab these weights. All right, I'll show you from the side here. Tipped over, double row here. Now you could do a single row when you got a dumbbell, or if you're using a barbell, much easier to pull off a double row. All right, notice my back staying nice and straight. Try to push my chest out first, and then pull the weights. Now what happens a lot on this position is hard for people, all right? So really work on that. It's worth the investment of trying hard to maintain this position. And when you squeeze up, try to keep your shoulders away from the ears at the top of this move, all right? The armpits will do more of that. Your neck will do less of that. All right, got a minute rest. And we need some of that rest time. Otherwise, the quality of our work just gets way, way less. It becomes less and less like strength training then. All right, so if we don't give it any rest at all, we have to work with like half the weight, and it doesn't stimulate the muscles as much. All right, so we do want these rest breaks, even though like some people are like, I could keep going. Well, yeah, because you're like a cardio junkie, all right, but you're not gonna build muscles, that way. So you need to rest a little bit, catch the breath some, and don't talk to people while you're resting. My goodness, I'm having trouble here. All right, so we get ourselves set for that push-up again. Just out of the way. Here we go. Push up, and then shift. Remember, you can do this from the knees also. You can even do this on the stairs. All right, third or fourth step. When I used to train people at their houses a lot, and the push-ups were pretty hard for them, we'd put the hands on the third or fourth step, and you could do push-up. And there's enough room for a little bit of a shift at least. Even if you can't make the full step, you can move the hand a little bit and a little bit. Finding good hand placements is part of the game here. Make sure the head's still coming out in front of the hands. Push the chest out. Oh, the abs. Oh, the abs, I could tell. Oof. Love it. This is a great workout. Hope you're liking it. All right. Let's hit that row here. I'll do it facing a different way this time. Still keep that back nice and straight. Push the chest out, squeezing back. Now when I do rows, a lot of times I don't go all the way down. So my arms are still slightly bent here. Trying to keep that work in the upper back. Also, once you untuck it, sometimes it's tough to tuck it back into place. So my shoulders stay kind of tucked when I'm doing rows. And they just tuck more as I come up. Push the chest out like you're trying to stretch out the front of your shirt and wrinkle the back of your shirt. Make sure it's not coming up into your neck. Check at the top. Squeeze the shoulders away from the ears and then come down. All right. Oh, that was a good, nice, warm feeling there. All right. Now, what happens a lot of times in rows, people get squeezing up. It's super common because that's just the only way you know how to be strong. All right. And so, you might need to go lighter and practice first, and then you can go back to going a little bit heavier again. You might not get back to what you were trying to do actually, because you could only do it with your neck. All right, so I could do more weight in bad posture than I can do with good posture. But I get more out of the good posture, and I still get a failure moment when I'm doing good posture. All right, so we get one more set on the push-ups, and then we get to move on. All right, push-ups in row, and then we go. All right, here we go, push up and shift. Try to see if you can have the chest get to the ground before the face. All right, shoulders away from the ears here. Those same armpit muscles should be involved at least slightly with this work. Oh, it's getting me, which is good. The harder it gets, the harder the muscles get. How are you gonna get hard muscles with easy work? Hard work, hard muscles. Oh, trying not to let my hips sag. Whew. All right, double row. Maybe I'll turn a third direction for this, just for kicks. Ooh, exciting. All right, push the chest out. Push the chest out first if you can, then pull the weights. You'll notice my elbows are not going back behind me. I can pull these weights a lot higher. I can pull them way up. That's not the idea. The idea is what I'm pulling them with. Between my shoulder blades and my armpit muscles. Shoulders away from the ears, chest is out. Oh. Upper body's almost done. Chest out, butt out. Keep those ribs out in front of you. All right. So, check yourself sometimes when you're doing that one. You might need a mirror or something like that. See if your back is as straight as you think it is. If it is not, long term you're setting yourself up for trouble. You're not getting farther away from injury, you're getting yourself closer to. All right, that's not the idea. All right, so now we're gonna show the front foot elevated lunge here. Now the higher position you put the foot, the easier this exercise is. So the more delicate your knees are, you should have your foot actually on a higher surface there. So if you got stairs, you're not on the first step, you're on the second step, you're more like the third step on the stairs here, right? So this is like a second step height really, right here. All right? And so I'm gonna be drifting forward and coming back up a little bit here, right? Here we go. So I drift forward, I keep my heel down, I'm gonna press back up. All right, this back leg is gonna stay fairly straight as I do this. And this is own moment. A lot of times we check the knee back. We're gonna let that knee travel a little bit more than normal. All right, but we've gotta keep the heel down. All right, because we're gonna try to stretch out some of the things that help promote better knee health. All right, and we need stronger quads to do that. So as I shift into here, and then I push back out of here, that pushback is a lot of quad. All right, dropping in and pushing back. All right, so there's a little bit of up, a little bit of back. Dropping in, heel is down, press back out. In, nice and low, get the stretch into here. Good, good, good. Our other side. Foot's up. All right, we're drifting in and pressing out. In. Feel a nice stretch in there. It's almost like you're trying to get your hamstring to get pretty close to your calf there. All right. Drop it in. Sinking in there. Squeeze back. Chest is out. Back is nice and straight. Back leg is fairly straight. Not perfectly straight, but it doesn't change a lot as I do this. The back leg is not bending a lot as I come down. All right. Dropping in, heels digging in. If you're getting pressure in the knee and things like that, think about maybe a higher surface to go up to, all right? So you've got less and less weight on this leg. All right. Dropping in. Get this big stretch. All right, we got a rest break. All right, you probably, as you do this one, keep the same foot first throughout the set. Maybe if you repeat this workout sometime, you could switch up which one it is. But you may want just that little bit of rest that comes from not least, from when you finish that leg to when you start that leg again. All right, we got 2 more sets on that. Hopefully it'll be pretty big and powerful. Now this has a stretch component to it, so do not be surprised if you're a bit sore, tomorrow. All right, that's part of it. It'll be sore only every time you try to bend your legs. All right? All right, but once you warm up while you're doing stuff, the soreness will be a lot less, all right? So it'll just be when you get up from a chair or you've been standing and you try to sit down to go to the toilet or something like that. You're like, oh. But as long as it's not in the joint, it's not so bad a soreness, all right? It's just gotta be dealt with a little bit. If you're worried about it, well, just don't wipe yourself out right now, okay? get good work, but just not all the way to failure. And then you could try the workout again next week or something. All right. Exercises like this, if you only do them like once or twice a year, super sore every time. If you do them once a week, your body would actually get quite used to it. All right, drifting into it, stretching, and pressing back up. Drifting into it, pressing back up. Dropping in. Now you can include dumbbells with this, all right? I'm not gonna need that today. Not with our first set that we had already, the squats. But over time, you could get to that. Dropping in. Try to keep that heel down. All right? You get the idea of what's tight in there, and we're trying to stretch out some of those tight areas. All right, so dropping in. All right, if you are on your toes a lot, you will be overusing the knee. All right? We're trying to keep a little bit of that heel planted as we're doing this. Nice foot flat on that step there. Dropping in. Keep my back like a little straighter so I can feature a little more stretch into that hip flexor. Now, how purposeful and deliberate you do this does make it more challenging. These little pauses I'm doing, that does make it harder. All right? Pausing in the stretch, adjusting, pressing back out. Whew. All right. Boy, part of me did call this the leg amplifier because it will amplify your legs talking to you tomorrow. They'll be a little bit louder saying, hey, what did we do yesterday? Why did we do that? All right. But again, doing this stuff regularly, you get a body that does not get sore as much from things, which basically is more like a youthful body, right? Muscles don't know age, they just know use and disuse. All right, so we're putting them through some really good range of motion here. We want to be at a high enough level so it's easy enough so I can drop in. Because some people are like, oh, I could do this. I can do this from the floor. And they're only going down here. You're missing out on all that stretch. All right, so get up to a higher spot so your hip has a chance of getting lower than your knee. All right, all right, if you got a shot at it, see my hip has dropped below my knee here. All right, this is big range of motion. This will probably mean I could still get up and down off the floor, right? All right, I'll maintain independence and strength and ability for longer because of this. Now, if you're getting knee pain, you got to adjust something, all right? It's not supposed to be, all right? My knees are perfectly fine right now. Now, some of my muscles around here are feeling that, all right? Through the quad, into the groin, into the hip flexor, I'm feeling that. Now, going a little bit deeper sometimes it's like adding more resistance. All right, an extra inch deeper is like sometimes adding 50 pounds. All right, so I challenge that depth. Ooh, with good posture, I really get something going there. All right, last leg here. We are on our last leg. Oh, it just might be. All right. Dropping in, squeezing out. Dropping in, squeezing out. Sinking in here. Get that depth, that challenge, and that focus squeeze out of that position. All right, that big focus squeeze. Ooh. Oh, the legs. Let's turn it up, turn it up. Let's amplify those suckers. High definition. High definition. Here we go. Oh, yes. All right. Let's get right to stretching, all right? I don't want you to skip this, so let's go fast into stretches. All right, let's have a lay down. Get my timer set a little bit. All right, we got our standard stretches that we do. Just because they're standard doesn't mean they're not powerful. All right, pulling the knee in. And the hip stretch. Oh, yeah. Oh, I feel this one. Right after doing that. Split squat, I feel that. Press that bottom heel away from you. Stick the chest out. Shoulders away from the ears. Set up some good posture and get a good pull there. And pull that knee towards the opposite shoulder a little bit. Just stretch the butt a little bit more on that one. All right. We got a handful of stretches here. We do the knee pull in, we do ankle over the knee. We'll stand up. We'll get the tricep, hamstring, hip flexor, quad, calf, and chest. All right. Oh, and this feels a little extra tight because these muscles are pretty well worked right now, which means it's really good to be stretching them right now. All right, ankle over the knee, reach through, grab that bottom leg, pull it towards you. You choose not to stretch, you choose more soreness and more pain later. All right. For some people, one of the most important things they can do is stretch. I think that's definitely true once you're over 40. All right. One of the most important workouts you can do is a stretching one. So if the strength workout was just a preparation for your stretch, that's still a good deal. All right. Reach through, switch legs. Pull that in. Chest is out. Pulling it towards you. Ooh-wee. Oh, feel that, I can feel that. Need the stretch, need the stretch. All right, we'll come on up here. Hammer out that tricep here real quick. Pat yourself on the back. Pick that up in the air. Stretch the back of the arm. We didn't use tricep like crazy, but we used it some. All right. Those push-ups got a little bit of that tricep action in there. But also this is a chance to stretch the lat a little bit here too. All right. And hopefully we did use that one. All right, on the rows and on the push-ups, both. Oof. Oh. Oh. Try to keep your head looking straight ahead. Abs in tight. Good stretch, good stretch. All right, we got hamstring, one of the more important ones here. Chest out, butt out. Don't bend your back, but get into the sucker. There's no time to waste. Tip hard at the hips, not in your back. All right, keep that chest out. Chest out as you tip. All right. Now, some people will even think this stretch is like, oh, it's boring, I need to get going on something else. This is a minimum amount of stretching, really. All right, if you really want to feel good, you need some more than this. All right. So feeling good has anything to do with the reason why you're exercising. You've got to do this. Stick that tailbone out, tip into it. Ooh. All right. Hip flexor. Press that heel back behind. Push the hip forward. Hopefully some stretch on this leg here. Now we probably got a little bit of that stretch while we were doing our stair lunge there. All right. Probably got a bit of that when we did that one here. Oh, check in with the breathing a little bit. Make sure you're taking full breath. Tip your hips up towards you, like if you had a cool belt buckle on, you're tipping it up so you can look at it, and then press that heel back behind as you push your hip forward. All right. So if you're having trouble finding that stretch, some of those cues will help. Tipping the hips up, Pressing that heel back, hip pushing forward to get this stretch along the front of the back leg here. All right, this is like your muscle that gets really tight from sitting a lot. Sitting a lot, surprise, surprise. All right, quad stretch. Grab a hold of the ankle, point that knee down, abs in tight, push the hips forward. Woo-wee. Oh, nice stretch. 4, 3, 2, 1. Other side. Put that knee down, abs in tight, push those hips forward. Push the hips forward. All right, good calf stretch. Oh, this one's a needed one too. All right, press that heel down behind you, bend the front knee. Stretching in there. Take this time to relax a little bit. Excellent, excellent. Hopefully you have a lovely weekend ahead of you there. Got a nice one. We got a couple fun things going on. This is the time we are making this. You'll see this later on. It's different. As we're making this, it's definitely feels like summertime outside, which is lovely. Pressing that heel towards the ground, bend this front knee, push into the wall a little bit with the hands. Make sure those toes are pointing straight ahead on that back foot. It's a lot more beneficial that way. All right, we get the chest stretch. Hand at about head height, so that way the elbow is about shoulder height. Shoulders down, chest is out, and you turn away from it here. I can feel that all across the chest. If you feel it running down your arm too much, that's not so good. You want to feel it kind of running towards the midline of the chest as you're doing it. All right, other side here. There's our moment. Here we go. How we doing? Shoulders down, chest is out, abs pulled in a little bit. All right, so before we go, I want to leave us with a little thought here. All right, so this is from Ecclesiastes 3:1. To everything there is a season, a time for every purpose under heaven. All right? And so for me, when I think about this verse, there's a time for good stuff and there's a time for hard stuff too, There's a time for relaxing and there's a time for work. It says there's a time for building, there's a time for knocking down, and you just need to be ready for all those seasons. All right? We have a friend of ours that a couple of days ago their house burned down. There's a time for tearing down, there's a time for building up. Well, that was a time for tearing down. Now it's a time for building up. And so we'll do what we can to build up our friend, and they're gonna, pull themselves up by their bootstraps and continue on. All the people made it out okay, but they had a couple dogs and they did not. So the rest is just stuff, but still memories and things like that. Imagine replacing your entire wardrobe. It's hard. It's hard stuff. Hard, challenging, annoyances, sadnesses, all the things. And there's a time for the sadness, there's a time for the hard. And when you're in one of those seasons, just remember that there is a time for the happy and the beneficial and the growth and all of that. So just like winter is fairly bleak, there is a springtime. There's a springtime where new things grow. Life comes back. And so if you're feeling personally in a winter, really looks, it's pretty isolating and cold and lonely, is remember that there is such thing as spring and there is such thing as summer. All right? And if you're in winter, that means they're coming. They're coming. They're the next season. They're the next season ahead of you. All right? Winter doesn't last forever. All right? The seasons change. There's a time for all of it. You're in the hard stuff right now. Stick with it. And you'll find a better spot. You'll find a better spot. That's just how it works. All right, so let me pray. God, be with our friends who are, grieving their dogs, their house, this change in the way life was going. Help them to rally back, in that. Help them to grieve well too, that they don't ignore the process of grief that you've created in us. That there's 5 stages of grief and the bunch all around in them. And, help them to, honor all of those feelings, in this process. And help us to do that too with our tough spots. For our friends out there who are in some really tough places, they've got loved ones who are ill. They've got, financial issues. They've got a darkness inside they're having trouble getting rid of. Help us to lean to you, to ask you, to pray, to find our sanctuary, in something greater, and that we can give up the fact that we think we have control and just follow the seasons, and wait for spring and start planting, start doing some things to prepare for a good spring and a good summer, and I just ask for your peace and your comfort. In the name of your Son, Jesus Christ, amen. All right, have fun, be safe, God bless.